Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time for another episode of Living Hope. Our weekly journey with those dealing with pancreatic cancer. The real people talking about what they're really dealing with on a real basis. And the real hope that many find in the research and ideas coming forth these days. So let's bring in an expert as we start another year of this journey with somebody who knows both sides of the picture here, including the Living Hope part of it. Our prestigious host here, Roberta Luna, who's been surviving this journey now for 20 plus years. Welcome back, Roberta.
Thank you. I don't know about the expert part of it.
You're the expert now. Are you?
I don't know about that. I find I learn something new every time, so I'm not too sure about the expert part, but that's okay. I'm good for learning. But nice to be back, because we've been off for a little bit. But
and today is a special day because for a number of reasons. So this year will be what? How many years now? You keep acting like you're a teen. You're reborn. So you're now 21, 22?
No, I'm 22.
22.
I'll be 23 in April. How about that?
23 in April. There you go.
If I only knew then what I know now, right?
And we'll acknowledge here for those suffering. We're in Los Angeles metro area. We're in Southern California. We're in Orange County, so we're not directly affected. But up in LA County, massive historic fires taking place. Parts of the town I used to live in, Pacific Palisades, Studio City, Hollywood Hills, all the center of the Hollywood entertainment industry, movie stars, TV stars, directors, everybody all populate those hills up there, and it's on fire all over the place up there as we talk, including our guest, who unfortunately, a doctor, he must work at UCLA or something?
Yeah, he is. He's from UCLA, and he was going to come in today and talk about what we're looking into for, this year, 2025, but unfortunately, he did lose his house.
He lost his house. I mean, wow, that brings home. So our prayers and thoughts would go out to him. What's his name?
He didn't want me to give his name.
Okay, we won't give his name. All right, so we'll give prayers and thoughts go out to our guest, and we'll hopefully get him back at a future show here.
Yes.
So we're winging it today here. Our first show of the year is kind of a look back, a look forward, and I had a couple ideas that I'll throw out there. One of which is, okay, we live in Southern California. It's getting hotter. There's more and more fires. They're more and more severe, on top of earthquakes and other things. Or in other parts of the country, hurricanes. We're having more of those and stuff, or tornadoes, where I grew up in the Midwest. Anything different if you're dealing with pancreatic cancer? Is it that much something else you got to take with you on the way out the door here?
Yeah, there's a lot you have to do. You have to prepare, or you should prepare a grab-and-go kit.
Yeah.
Because there are things you don't want to be trying to hunt down, like just what we just experienced with some of the people from the fire this week, is they weren't given very much notice. They just had to pretty much pick up a pet or animal or whatever they had and a bag, and they were gone.
Because it moves so quickly, right?
Very, very quickly. So they didn't have a chance. So if you can just prepare something and have it ready to go, would be very helpful.
And what would you add to that? You're a pancreatic cancer survivor. Is there medication? Is there something different that you have to take with you?
Yeah, definitely have your medications. I would suggest a week to 2 weeks supply, because you don't know for how long you're going to be gone.
Yeah. Like earthquakes, I always say that we should have a week's worth of stuff, food or medications or other things, because you don't know when the stores reopen.
Right. And you need to have, if you have pain medicine, anti-nausea, your pancreatic enzymes, if you're on that, you just need to make sure you have everything, an extra supply. And a lot of times if you talk to your doctor or even the pharmacy, they will give you extra so you can make up your little grab and go kit.
Yeah.
Your
and
medical
make sure it's
records.
up to date, because sometimes people make those things and then it's out of date.
Exactly.
It's 10 years old or something.
Yeah, you don't want to take medicine, obviously, that's old, and make sure that you have a list of the medications and how often you're taking them, so that if you have somebody that's there to help you, then they know what to do, and not sometimes the label on the bottle can be a little different than what your doctor has prescribed.
What about those dealing with you're actively taking chemo treatment therapy? What if the hospital shuts down? Let's say it's even like an earthquake or something, and the roads are broken or the power's down or other sorts of things. Your hospital may not be available for a while, and suddenly you're on a regimen that you can't sustain here.
No, that's why it's also a good idea to keep a list of who your oncology nurses, your doctors are, all those people that are included in your treatment, so you could reach out to them, and they're usually really great about reaching out to you in any kind of situation.
Can you go anywhere to get your treatments? Can you go anywhere to get
I think it would be difficult. I don't know per se. I'm not, I really don't know about that, but make sure that you have like all the information, because if you need to go someplace else, it's much quicker if they have that information and don't have to look it up or don't have to call and get it. Because if, what if the internet's down or phone lines are down? So if
Yeah,
you
I mean,
have,
I'm thinking all of a sudden I got a chemo treatment scheduled this week, and there's nothing. It's chaos. It's fires. It's earthquakes. It's something here. Well, I need this treatment, and so do you just go to another hospital, another area, and
like I
just
said,
walk in the door? And
I would keep, make sure you have a list of your doctors, their contact information, oncology nurse, any emergency contacts that you have, so you can reach out to them, and say, where do I need to go? And like I said, usually in an emergency, they're really good about reaching out to the patient and saying, either the supplies are low or this is the issue. We need you to go to a different facility, and they'll tell you where to go.
and then is it the same network? Is it the same? They got the records, all that kind of stuff.
That's why it's really a good idea. I know they tell you to put a lot of stuff, on the little thumb drives or something. But again,
Yeah.
what if the internet is down, or what if we don't have no electricity? Hard copies. I'm still old school, and I like hard
You
copies
got a
as
hard
well.
copy of
So
data, yeah.
yeah, so if you can have anything with just just a major information that they would need to know.
And where do you keep this? In a suitcase, in some fireproof box or something here, and then someplace in the front closet so you can grab and go literally, or are you hunting for it? Where is that thing?
No, you really should keep it somewhere that's going to be easy to get to, and it should be in a fireproof, either, I don't know if they make suitcases that are fireproof, but
They kind of look
something,
like suitcases.
yeah, something that you can just pick up and go with you, not too heavy, and just keep everything in there. Like I said, your medical records, any medicines you may have, if you're on a feeding tube, any special equipment you might need.
Should that just be in your car all the time here? Ready?
Well, no, because what if you're somewhere else?
Yeah.
You could keep. I mean, I know a lot of patients kept second, things in their car. But a lot of times medication can't be stored in something like that because of the heat.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be careful, how you're storing your medications and such.
All right, so the other one that occurs to me is not just treatments and grab and go kits and stuff. How about the air quality? Are you more affected by bad air quality because your compromised immune system or
You
whatever?
can, excuse me, you can be, yes. So,
Just the thought of it made you cough here.
yes, it did. It gave me a dry throat right away. I would, keep the mask that they, what is it, the 95, the
Yeah, the
mask they use
N95
for,
that really
thank you.
cleans out everything like a hospital mask.
Yeah, keep those in your suitcase, and also that's something you can keep in your car as well, just in case. But yeah, the air quality can affect you. So if you're, if it's really bad out there, you're seeing the smoke, the ashes, try not to go out if you don't have to. I mean, if you have to get out of the area, obviously cover yourself up and put on a mask.
It would be wonderful if everybody had a backup place that they could go to, but few do. I mean, some are fortunate to have a second home somewhere, and you just pack up and you go. But I don't know what most people do. You move in with somebody, I guess.
If you have family members, but it is good to have, look around your area or an area outside where maybe, a hotel, someplace you can stay, even temporarily. And a lot of times after, situations like this, the Red Cross will step in and help
Yeah.
as well, help you find something. But if you're trying to get somewhere immediately, you can look ahead at what might be available in your area. And it's not something that the patient or their primary caregiver has to do on their own. People are always asking, what can I do to help you? Well, give them some of these things to do, and ask them, in a case of an emergency, can you look into where maybe I can go, where I can take my animals
We had
to?
somebody on several years ago. They come on once a year in our public affairs show, and they talk about earthquakes. It's like from the Red Cross. And, of course, should have a kit ready to go, or they should have a survival kit because the gas might be off, the electricity will probably be off, other things you're going to do without. Maybe the water main broke and something, so you got to have water, you got to have supplies. And we all know this. How many of us do this? I don't know that I do it. I got some water stuck somewhere, and I got one of those little first aid things, and I always keep saying, I'm going to do that. That's a good idea.
Well, it took me years, to be honest with you, to get my earthquake kit together. I didn't do it till the last earthquake, and
Yeah.
So it took me a number of years, because we've been through so many that we kind of are very chalant about it and
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
think much about it. It's like,
Nonchalant, who cares, right?
yeah, we just kind of, we feel the shaking, so we just kind of stop wherever we are and just wait. But, the new people who come in, obviously are a little bit more affected. But yeah, I'm ashamed of myself, but I finally did get my earthquake kit for my whole family plus my animals together, and it wasn't until our last
You live
earthquake.
in a historic area of with old wood shingles. I live up against a canyon with lots of vegetation in it. I think about it, I worry about it, but have I done a whole lot to prepare for these moments, to cut back the vegetation and to have my kit ready to go? And I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't think. I mean, we're very aware now, and we have because a number of years ago, actually, my neighbor's house, which was also wood shingle, and it caught on fire,
Oh.
and that was very close. But the firemen did a great job in protecting our home. But after learning that and seeing that and being through it, we did start cutting back and being a little bit more careful about vegetation. But it takes, sadly, sometimes for you to go through something,
Yeah.
though it was nothing to compare to what these poor people have gone through now.
You
But
showed me
still.
pictures. It's just devastating. I mean, I look at them, I can't believe it. I lived up in that area at one point in time when I was young and in the entertainment industry. I lived off of Laurel Canyon, which is on the boundaries of what the Hollywood Hills fire is doing. And then Pacific Palisades, I knew lots of celebrities, directors, writers, and stuff that lived over in that area. And most of those are old homes. They were built in the 40s, 50s, 60s or something here, if not earlier, the 20s or 30s or something here. The house I lived in was built in the 1920s. It was a mountain cabin originally. It was just up in the hills. And that's what we like. Tons of vegetation around us. You feel like you're up in the woods. Every house had giant bushes and trees shielding you from the neighbor's house. But all that vegetation, and it's on hills, so there's stuff above you and below you and everything here. And that's what caught and went up. All right, so that's our prayers to go out for all those people. A hard to wrap your head around historic fire. I don't remember. I've lived in Los Angeles since the greater Southern California since the 80s. I lived up in that area. I don't ever remember this kind of fire affecting that area. I think that's part of
No,
it.
I think it's something that we haven't experienced before, and unfortunately, because my opinion is because of the winds that were happening, they were not able to make the water drops, and that I
Yeah.
think played a big role in the destruction.
And
It's,
and I know people will dispute this, but whatever it is, the world's definitely getting hotter. If it's man-made or if it's just a natural cycle, I have my opinions on it, but I think it's more of a man-made thing. We're making the planet hotter, but people immediately will throw up their hands and say not true. But whatever it is, no question, it's getting hotter and drier, and that means the stuff goes up faster.
it does, and again, our hearts go out to all those, and we have a lot of people that that we are familiar with and that we know that live up in that area, and just can't even imagine the devastation and what they're going through. Yes, you say, your safety is number one and very important,
Clearly.
and everything else can be replaced, but there are some things like we talked about that cannot be replaced.
I had a friend off camera. We were talking about whose house lost a house many years ago in one of these kind of fires, and he said what struck him was the little stuff. Maybe it wasn't a precious amount, but clearly pictures or my grandmother's, I don't know, something that she left me. But it's the little stuff. Where's that favorite spoon? My favorite chair? That thing I always use? My razor or that I use? I mean, just everything is gone. You are completely without, and all the things the comfort that you rely upon, the things that are difficult to replace, many of which you can't replace, the mementos and the things you saved. I see these stars, Hollywood stars losing their homes, and I think of all the stuff they must have collected from their careers, movie posters and paraphernalia and stuff. All that's gone.
Yeah, and just for the normal people out there who have things that they wanted to pass on to their kids,
Yeah,
those things
oh,
are
I
gone.
got
Or
tons of that kind of stuff
yeah.
jammed in my closets and everything here, and I can't go closet by closet and say, oh, how much can I carry? Take out at one stop here.
Well, sometimes you don't have the option. It's just like a lot of these people. It was a grab and go. You
Yeah,
get out. And
right. Well,
so
he said what struck him was how psychologically devastating it was, not just to see it gone and to have to rebuild, but to lose things that are irreplaceable, but to lose everything. Every second of every day is, oh, where's my iPad, or where do I hook this up? Where's that cord I need? Where's my coffee maker? Where's all these things that I just rely upon without thinking all day long? They're all gone.
yeah,
Their
some
whole
people
life
were
is-
just able to get out with, thank God, with their pets and their family, and
That's
that's
about
all
it.
they have. The clothes.
That's about it. Pets, family, and maybe if you're smart, about a book of pictures or something. If you say a grab and go bag or something.
Yeah, something just to have.
But grandma's vase stays behind, and
Yeah.
you're sifting through the ashes trying to find it. All right. Well, on that pleasant note, we're looking ahead at 2025. Did we have any breakthroughs in 2024? Was there any? You've had so many shows where maybe we're coming up with a test for pancreatic cancer. Maybe there will be a blood test. It's coming. It's right around the corner, and then we can find it instantly and get to it faster. Did we have any breakthroughs in 2024? And what do you think the odds are we're going to have a breakthrough in 2025?
I think we're really close to a lot of the early detection, like a blood test. It's just things that still need to be.
What's her name? Aggie.
Aggie Hirschberg. Yes.
She certainly seems like she's throwing money and resources into it, as are others at UCLA and stuff. And she certainly indicated they were getting close. She thought.
I think so, and like I said, some of the guests. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to
give away or promise, but
give
yeah.
away, promise, and then my intake is different, and then things change so quickly. I mean, research, it can show one thing, and then as you carry on with the research, then things can change. So
because they go through multiple years of trials to prove that something works.
And unfortunately, yeah, I think the clinical trials are very, very important, and that's something that we want to dive into more during the year as well. The importance of it and why we need to do it, and to get people interested and not fear it, because it's nothing to fear. But we need to be able to, back that up with.
So many people do fear it because they think I'm going to take something that's just
a placebo.
It's worthless, and I need something real. Give me the real stuff. I don't want to be in the placebo group here.
No, for pancreatic cancer, they do not use a placebo. You get at least whatever the standard of care is at that time.
And then they see if it's better with this other stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes they either add the drug with the treatment, or they give you the drug on its own, so it's separate. But it's something that's really important. It's the only way, unfortunately, that we actually get treatment. So clinical trials are very important. Without them, we're not getting new drug treatments, and without that, we're not going to see our survival rate increase.
So one of the things, and I'm sorry, I'm going to really steer as hard as I can away from politics. We've gone through a bruising campaign. I have my own opinions, which are pretty publicly documented about where we're headed. I'm worried. But having said that, I worry every time an administration changes, what effect that has on programs like this. More money, less money, more government involvement, less government involvement, more likelihood of funding and research, less likelihood of funding. And this time more than ever, because no secret, the returned president here has made some pretty wild statements about you can put Kennedy into the Health and Human Services, and they want to rip a bunch of this stuff out and change a bunch of things and rewire it and rethink it, and maybe replace some of these things, maybe shut some of these things down. I don't know maybe that's good in the long run. We'll find out. But it certainly is going to have an impact in the short run if they do those things, and if they can get those things through. And that's always the big question, if they carry through and if they can find the votes to carry through. I wonder if anybody's thought yet about what this will do for things like cancer research in the coming year. For example, the last president, he was very devoted to it because he lost his son because of cancer research. So he was very personally involved in, I don't know if he funded it more or less, but he publicly stated he wanted to support more the moonshot, find more, let's make it a real national priority to do that. I don't think that came to fruition as much as he hoped for, and maybe the reverse is true. I don't know that they're going to tear up and rip out as many things as they say they are going to do. But do you worry about that? Do you wonder about that?
Yeah, we worry about that, I think, and wonder about it regardless, but I have to hope that they all go in there with an open mind and remember that cancer isn't politically gained. I mean, it affects affects us all.
Doesn't hit blue states or red states different.
No,
right?
it's Republicans get cancer, Democrats get cancer, independent people get cancer. So it's not something that you can say, well, we won't be affected by it, or we won't ever know. So it's whether it's pancreatic cancer or any cancer, somebody is always affected by it. I don't think I've ever run across anybody that hasn't had some effect of some kind of cancer. So hopefully keeping that in mind, and then the strides that we have made with pancreatic cancer research, that they will continue to fund that and not cut back on it, because it's so important.
How much of this does the government fund? How much is it privately funded, or a public university funding? Is it all a combination? I would suspect there's a little bit of all that in there. For example, the stuff Aggie Hirschberg does, she puts some of her own money into it, but UCLA must back it, and they must get state grants and federal grants and National Institute for Health grants and other sorts of things.
Yeah, but most of it does come from the federal government, so we need to keep that. That's why we go every year for advocacy, either in person, by your telephone, emails, whatever it takes to let them know our opinion, what we feel, what our stories are, and how important it is to continue with the funding for the research, because we've shown that the more research we're able to do, our survival rates have increased, and it's
Yeah.
because of the research that we've been able to get.
So keep pushing. If there's a community listening to this who wants to take action on it, just keep pushing both sides of the aisle here. We're all for making government more efficient. I don't think anybody's opposed to that idea. Maybe it's long overdue. We take a hard look at some of these things. I don't know, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say.
No, and everybody can be an advocate, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I mean, you can put as much time or as little as you want into it. If you want to go in person and talk to your representative, you can do that either here in your home state or in Washington, D.C. If
Yeah.
you want to reach out, a lot of organizations will help you with advocacy. I have to say that PanCAN, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, has an awesome advocacy program. So they pretty much do the letter for you. You add your own little personal story. It's by email. You send it and it's gone. It takes less than 5 minutes.
And it really has an impact. I know we're talking to lots of public officials. If they get a handful of people express strong support about something, they pay attention. If nobody writes them, then they say, well, I guess that one can go.
No, they tend to not pay as much attention. I mean, it's like the squeaky wheel does get,
Yeah,
does
right.
get the grease. So whether you do it, like I said, in person, or you can do it by email, you can do it by phone call. We've called. We have a national call day, and sometimes they get so many calls they actually have to turn the phones off.
Yeah,
because they
right.
just can't handle everything they're getting in. So that says something when they're hearing from all these people that are affected, especially by pancreatic cancer. They stop and they do listen. I have to give them that credit. They do listen to us.
And research pays off. I don't think research is generally a waste. So not just, I don't know. I don't know enough about health grants and health research. Maybe some of it is just thrown away and worthless stuff. But I think if there's a payoff in government, it's infrastructure, roads, things like that, and it's also research into bigger, better things like cures for cancer. That one's always got my vote.
Yeah, and I think, I don't see any research really as being unnecessary or fruitless, but sometimes they do have to look at it to what do they think is going to be the best recourse, what's going to probably, give them
Where's our
most.
best avenue?
Right.
If we got a bet, or this one looks better than that
Yeah.
one.
So it doesn't mean necessarily that maybe one that wasn't chosen was bad. It just maybe wasn't as strong as something else. And a lot of these researchers come back, and there's review boards that get to review some of these researches. So they hear the opinion, and then they go back maybe and correct whatever they think that needs to be done, and come back again in a future time.
So give us a look ahead, who you're hopeful to talk to. Who do you think you're going to bring into the show this year? You've brought in such a wide spectrum. Originally, I thought it was just going to be survivors like yourself sharing stories and resources and ideas, a place people could turn to. What am I facing? What are others doing? What should I try? Sometimes mainstream, sometimes alternative, just everybody kind of giving their own anecdotal evidence here. But you brought in a lot of researchers, you brought in a lot of people who are working in the field, all sorts of different things, different aspects of dealing with the disease, up to and including maybe you should plan for your funeral because it is a deadly disease. That was a fun topic to talk about here.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Let's put fun back in funeral. Is that what it was called here? Right?
there you go. And to feed on that, since you did bring that up, there's something that I've been wanting to do probably since day one, but I've been kind of giving it the right time, is the California End of Life Option
Wow,
Act.
there's a hot button topic. Do you really have time at some point, ultimate control to say, I'm done? And what does that look like?
Yeah, and that's something I'm going to bring in. We're going to have an attorney come in and talk about it, and also some other people that are experienced with it, and some that their family has chosen to go that way. So,
And I don't know which way I go. My first impulse is, oh, I don't know, that sounds horrible. No. And then I watched my mom die painfully over years, and I thought, and she's begging me, pull the plug,
yeah.
I don't know. Boy, there's a hot topic to talk about. Well, that'll be an interesting show. That'll be a controversial show.
Yeah, well, we'll give people plenty of warning, so if they don't want to listen to it at that time, it's fine. But I think it's important because when the people that I've talked to who've even considered this or that have gone through with it, their main reason was, for one, when you get a diagnosis of cancer, whether it's pancreatic or whatever cancer it is, you kind of lose control.
Yeah.
You lose control over your life. You lose a lot of control. So a lot of people
Somebody's
are
telling you what to do. You're on a regimen, you're on a program, you're on a test, you're on the medication. Suddenly
what you can do, what you can't do, what you should be doing, and all, and what you shouldn't have done, and all these other things. So
Right.
they want to take back some of that control, and they want to feel like I'm winning against this disease if I decide when I die, and not it decide when I'm going to
Yeah.
die. So
Yeah.
that's what I get from a lot of people who have looked into this or have decided or deciding to do it.
And you talked that one of the most touching moments, one of the ones I'll never forget, is when you talked about. So you're a long-term survivor. You're the one that's beat the odds here. Pancreatic cancer is now up to what, 14% survival. It was
13, yeah.
It was 4 or 5 when you started, and so wow, you somehow you're the winner. So everybody wants to talk to you, and what do you do, and how did you do it, and all this stuff. And you're half the time like, I don't know. I got lucky here. I've tried certain things, like your diet and other sorts of things, but maybe it is just the luck of the draw. So people constantly took you to others and say, here, buck them up, give them some hope. You made it, they can make it. And you ran into a couple of people who said, I'm done. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with this anymore. I want to live my life as well as I can, the quality of life. I've accepted this, and I'm going to make the best of it. And you had a real struggle saying, no, don't give up, don't quit.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and she actually changed my life and my way of looking at it, because I went in it headstrong that I was going to fight it, and I thought because I'm fighting it, everybody else should fight it too.
You, again, are going to tell her what she should do with her
Right,
life.
but it's like, and we all choose to fight what I've learned in different ways, whether it's with treatment or no treatment, living your life the way you want. But what she made me see is she had been fighting it for years. She'd been doing, the treatments and whatever, and finally got to the point to where she knew or felt she was not going to get any better. So she
Right.
wanted to live the rest of her life, either traveling, being with her family, or whatever it was. But she did sit me down and just said, God is going to be the one to decide when it's my time to go. And I just feel that I want to enjoy the rest of my life. And I do appreciate, you're so headstrong and you want to fight, but I have fought in it. She had fought in it for years, and now it was time for her to really live her life the way she wanted, to go out the way she wanted. And she just changed my perspective. And it was kind of hard then to go back to this group of people, because they expected me to change her.
Yeah, change
but
your
she
mind.
changed me. She
Yeah.
changed my way of dealing with it. I no longer think if you decide not to do treatment, you're still fighting. You're fighting in your own way. And
But
we all
it's
have
your
to respect
decision.
that.
I think that's the living hope. As long as you're living, it's your life, and
Yeah.
you get to decide what and how and where and when.
Yes, I will be the one. I tell my doctors this constantly, and they're very good now. They know when I've had enough, when I need a break, I'm going to take it. But, it's just something that we all have to respect the person that's going through it. I mean, we're all going through it as a family member, of course, with your loved one. But you have to realize it is really a tough fight. It's
Oh.
tough sometimes to get up, even just to get up in the morning and just to get out of the bed.
And how do you feel then when your loved ones come to you and say, get up, come on, get going, what's wrong with you? Don't, you're like, shut up, I'm dealing with this, not you.
Well, actually, I didn't have that, so
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
have to worry. Because, like I said, I mean, I was really, I think, good, or maybe as bad at hiding a lot of my feelings. And I think I
Right.
put on a lot and didn't let them see a lot of what I was going through, because I was trying to save them from going through it.
Right.
So, there's
That was
different
my
ways.
mother, the constant happy face here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, somebody said, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing great. I'm doing good. And they're like, yeah, right. How are you really doing? But always came out with either good or great. I never said how I was feeling. I think the only one who really knew was my chemo nurse, and it's because she just knew me so well
Yeah.
that she could tell. Or my mom would look at me and say, I can see it in your eyes. And I don't know what that meant.
Or your
but-
husband, he knew as much
Yeah.
as he wanted to hear the happy story, positive
Right.
story.
Yeah.
These are some real conversations I wasn't ready to have in this show here about, what it really feels like, what it's really like, when you've really had enough, when you keep going, when, why, how, all this stuff. And every one of them's got a different journey. Everybody's got a different thing. And what you're all about is take control as
Yeah.
much as you can.
You be the one to decide how you want to fight, if you want to fight, what, like I said, how.
Where,
how.
when, how long, all this.
And when you decide that you're done. And then, as hard as it is for us, the loved ones, to respect that, we have to. We have to respect that. I mean, it's tough.
And knowing that, there is hope too. This is not just about living with it. There is hope for those who need it, who want it. It's not always just a happy, hopeful story, but there is hope. This is a strange journey. There's still, who was the one guy that was on talking about? They're trying to do studies about people like you to try and figure out why.
Yeah,
did
why
you-
some of us do survive and others don't. Because everybody, most everybody that I've ever, run across, they have the strong will to live. They want to fight. So what is that common denominator that us survivors do have? There has to be something there that we
Right.
have that allows us to survive. Because I'm not the only 20-year survivor. There's some that are
No.
30 years and
Yeah,
longer.
right.
So what is it about us that it's
It,
there that we
is
have
it,
that we share in
and
common?
you say it would be genetics, but you had more people than I've ever heard of that had this disease in your family. Several people. What was it? Your mother, uncle, or
My mom, my dad, my uncle, my grandmother all died from pancreatic
yeah,
cancer.
right.
Yeah.
So, all right, scratch better genes. It sounds like you got the worst genes. And diet, you think that's part of it. You changed your diet dramatically, give up sugars, some other stuff like your last guest was talking about, all that kind of stuff. But there's no proof of that. There's some suspicion, even a couple of the doctors, it can't hurt to have a better diet and get rid of some of these things.
Yeah.
Is it mindfulness? Is it positive thinking? That's what my wife would say. That's what you sort of say sometimes. But I don't know. Or is it just something else, a little thing that we're not seeing in the equation here?
I think it's something that we're not seeing because, like I said, a lot of us are very positive and want to continue to live, and it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
there has to be something there
That
that.
alone doesn't guarantee success. Right?
No, it
Right.
it doesn't. But I have to thank you and Don Camber for giving me this opportunity. I know you weren't too sure about it in the beginning.
I didn't see how we could sustain this for more than a week or two, and I wasn't sure I could listen to any of this stuff here because we all want to hear just the happy talk. We all want to hear just the positive. Oh, she made it. We can all make it here. It's more than that. It's more complicated than that, and it's not easy to tell. It's not easy to examine, but it's been important to hear. Really, I think it has been. I encourage people to keep tuning in as we continue to bring people stories we continue to bring mainstream research and ideas that give people more hope as we give other alternative treatments, whether it's yoga or other sorts of things, mindfulness and stuff here that are helping people handle this and deal with it until that day arrives when we can eradicate it. And it's just a fascinating journey. It certainly is a world most of us never hope to hear anything about or know anything about, but when you're in it, it becomes an all-consuming journey.
Yeah.
It's always there.
In fact, I wanted to ask because, like I said, I know you were kind of wondering where we were going with this, what was going to happen. But so, where do you want to see us going in 2025?
Well, of course, we all want to see breakthroughs. I'd love to see this be the year that a blood test is fun. I think a blood test would have a dramatic difference. You said that happened with prostate cancer and
Right.
other sorts of things. If they can detect it early enough through a blood test, you get blood tests every year. Why not put that screening on there and say, "Oh, I see something. Let's address this right now here." That's been one of the missing things. People don't know they have it until it's too late. I think that's a realistic hope, if not this year, soon. I think the end of life stories are difficult to deal with, but necessary. We live in a society that, in my opinion, has pushed death out of the door. We don't want to. We don't say the word death. Nobody dies. We just disappear. We lost them. They left us. We don't have funerals anymore. We don't plan for anything. We're just like sticking our heads in the sand here, and it is part of life's natural cycle. One way or another, we ain't going out alive here. So how to deal with that, how to face that, how to prepare for that, how you want that to happen is an important topic anyway, but particularly if you've been given a deadly disease diagnosis here, I think that's a difficult one. So I'd love to hear more of that kind of conversation. Because and for those around it, I know when my own mother and father died, I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to be in the room, and nobody I knew wanted to hear about it or talk about it. We just all wanted it to be over with, and then we just somehow move on, and
No.
that ain't easy. Doesn't work that way.
No, it's not. But hopefully, we will. Give.
So from the positive, hopeful end to the how do you the other two ends of the spectrum here. I'd like to hear more conversations like that. And of course, I'm always fascinated to hear stories of people dealing with this. You've run just some amazing stories. I'd like to hear more veteran stories too. You had that one guy came on a year or two ago, and he talked about veteran struggles because a veteran, especially if you're even like a special forces or some real rough, tough guy, or a paratrooper, or Green Beret, or something. I forgot what he was, Ranger, I think. And they're supposed to be able to deal with anything.
Yes.
I'm not weak. I don't ever ask for help. I'm a one-man do-it-yourself machine here. And suddenly, maybe I need help.
Yeah, and I think we owe a lot to our veterans because, to be honest with you, that's really how we were able to get a bill passed. It was on a Department of Defense bill because they found a lot of veterans, especially Vietnam veterans, were being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
And I'll leave on this. So I'd love to hear more about the work you're doing. You never even talked about it. You've been appointed to a panel for the Department of Defense. I don't know if you've got security clearance to talk about this, but they really are actively trying to do what? What is the panel that you're on?
Yeah, it's called PCARP, and it's kind of a long name, but it's for pancreatic cancer research. And I was honored to be able to sit on some reviews recently and listen to what the researchers are wanting to do and to give my feedback, though I can't talk about who they are or what their research programs are, but it looks very, very promising, and I'm very honored to be part of
Because
that.
they're funding tons of veterans, and veterans, this is one of the many issues that they're seeing more of, and or I don't know if it's more of, but it's a major issue they have to deal with.
Exactly, and I think, it's something that I can never understand. I mean, we always talk about, for a patient or survivor, we're fighting a war, but then when they were able to get it approved, we couldn't really figure it out until it was explained to us. It was because so many veterans were being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and that's how they were able to slip it through. So
Yeah.
we take it where we can, and
Yeah, right. And that's another fascinating world. I never think about that. And the government has the responsibility to care for these people, and they want to do that as well as they can. So that's another reason to research and to find either treatments or cures or protocols or whatever other things they can do to improve this journey. If not for everybody, certainly for the veterans here.
right, they should be a really high priority. So everything they give to us, we need to start giving back.
Okay. Well, I could see a whole bunch of topics. This thing could go on for a long time. What are we, 30 years from now, we're still going to be talking about this? But at that point, we figured out it's a 98% survival rate. And
Well, wouldn't that be awesome? Or to even just to treat it as a chronic disease would
Yes.
be, something like people with diabetes or with arthritis or other things, just to be able to treat it as a chronic disease would
Exactly.
be something as well.
just like HIV kind of went from an immediate death sentence to now people can live with it, and it still can be deadly. But I don't know what the stats are, but it seems like more and more drugs and more people can
Right.
survive even with this.
Yeah, I always say we need another Elizabeth Taylor because I think she really made that movement come alive and really pushed it forward.
And we've seen certainly progress. Men's prostate cancer, women's breast cancer. There are more and more. The survival rate's gone up dramatically as we've increased the discussion, we've increased the awareness, and we've certainly increased the research and dollars put into this stuff. Both of those, they're not gone away, but they seem to be more treatable and more survivable.
Exactly. If you can live with it, or it can, like I've changed my opinion. I'm not living with it. It's living with me now. So,
It's got to adjust to you here.
that's right. I'm no longer living with it. It's going to be living with me for the time being.
Well, and I hope that in the coming year I can adjust to you more, because you don't know, folks, she's pretty demanding. She comes and she wants this and put this here, and I don't want this, and I want this done this way. So hopefully she's getting more relaxed, and I understand how to present this show here.
Well, you're getting better at it, I must say that. So thank you. Thank you for giving in to me. I do appreciate it.
Okay, all right, take us out. Who's coming in next week? Do we know who's going to be here? next
Not yet. I'm waiting for confirmation. But as we end the show, as long as you speak my name, I shall live forever, is designated to Bruce Wisely, who passed away recently after a 5-year battle with pancreatic cancer. So thank you very much to him and his family for sharing their story with me.
Okay. Well, there you have it. It is an ongoing journey. There is living and hope involved in this journey. And for those of you that have pancreatic cancer or know someone with pancreatic cancer, we hope you'll tune in and share these conversations with the world around you. And for those of you just coming in and wondering how I can help or how I can get involved, lots of organizations out there. We keep presenting different ones to you. PanCan is certainly one. You can contact them or the Hirschberg Foundation, others. Many of them we've highlighted in this organization. We'll find more in the coming year here. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick with us. We've only just started on this journey we call Living Hope. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Blind Innovation Center.